hours after reports came out that the Jets were looking to trade Le'Veon Bell, New York instead cut the two-time All-Pro. Bell only averaged 3.3 yards a carry since signing a 4-year, $52 million contract with the Jets last year. In a team statement, the Jets said they believed it was the best interest of both parties. So, Shannon, would you want him on your team at any price?
Yeah, good.
Really? Okay.
Two different locations, it's the same thing.
Yep.
Skip, I don't care how talented you are, if at some point in time, your employer is going to get tired of you taking shots at them.
Yeah.
And I get that you're not happy. Adam Gase is probably going to be the next one out the door because they're moving players. And it's, you know, obviously this player's been disgruntled and you want to get him out of the building. But the problem was that Adam Gase never wanted him in the building. And so it built up a bad blood. And once you know that as a player, Skip, you know someone doesn't want you there. It's hard for you to take a liking to them. He didn't want him. He wanted offensive line to protect the quarterback. The general manager wanted a big-time running back. That was a conflict. A month, 2 months later, the general manager's gone. Now the head coach is stuck with a player that I'd never wanted to begin with. Skip, he hasn't been the same. I mean, you look at it, he has 0 100-yard games in 17 games, 175-yard games, and only 4 games in which he's averaged 4 yards per carry. That's not Le'Veon Bell. I don't really know how much. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how much he has left in the tank, Skip, because he had a couple of seasons. His last couple of seasons in Pittsburgh, he went to a magical number. He had over 400 touches. Skip, normally when guys get to those numbers, there have been very few guys that can get to those numbers and ever be the same player again. Now, Eric Dickerson went to those numbers a couple of times, but Skip, we're talking about a transcendent running back. I don't look at Le'Veon Bell as a transcendent running back. You look at, I wrote some, Larry Johnson. You look at when he went to those historic numbers and look what he did the following year. You look at
Herman Edwards.
You look at Eddie George, DeMarco Murray, our Terrell Davis, Jamal Anderson. Look at what some of these guys, when they got to those big milestones, 380, 390, 400 touches in a season. Look what they did the following seasons and subsequent seasons after that. Skip, it played out in a very similar fashion in Pittsburgh. Skip, we don't know the rumbling, but I just thought it was odd that a guy that was in the locker room for people that teammates come out so forcefully against a player.
The
Steelers. In support of a team. And now, I get it. Maybe you want more touches. Maybe they're not using you appropriately. But, bruh, you can't keep speaking out against the team in a negative fashion. Skip, for someone that says, you know what? We owe you $6 million on next year's salary. We still owe you this year. We would rather pay you to go sit home and not be in our presence than have you in our presence and possibly help us. Skip, that speaks volumes. Because businesses don't normally play. Skip, sometimes coaches will keep coaches on or keep staff. I ain't paying you to go home. You gonna come in, I don't want you here, but you gonna work for this money. They say, nah, go ahead and go. We'll just pay you to go somewhere else, and if you get picked up, so be that. But we don't want you here in our presence. Nah, Skip, I'm good.
On this one, I am completely with you. More trouble than worth. Once a very good back who could also catch it and run with it. He ran with it in a unconventional way I'd never seen before, where he did tiptoe, and he waited and he waited. He showed incredible patience, and then he'd hit a hole, and he hit it hard.
Skip, remember, we had a discussion. I said, Skip, he the best back in football.
Yep. There was a moment.
Yes.
There were about 15 minutes when he was. And then he fell completely apart with the bedrock Pittsburgh Steelers. And it wasn't just the defense that was complaining about him. It was his offensive line. They threw him under 10 buses.
They did.
And it started with the center, Marquise Pouncey, who said, honestly, he's a little selfish. It's Le'Veon over the Steelers. Then Ramon Foster said, in the ultimate team sport, we've created a league of individuals. Here's a guy who just doesn't give a damn, meaning about us and the Steelers. A guy who said Ramon Foster makes 7 times as much as I do and twice as much as Al Villanueva makes. He even went money on him. And as you always say, you don't mess with a teammate's money publicly.
No.
That was a quote to the reporters covering the Steelers.
Correct.
That's how upset they were. That's how angry they were. That's how much they were done with him. So what did he do? He had the tag sitting right there. We're going to talk about Dak here in just a minute.
Right.
But here comes a tag, and that was 14.5. Pretty good money.
Right.
And he said, nope, I'm good. I'll sit. So he ignored the tag, and he sat for a year because he knew the Jets are sitting there or somebody's going to be out there giving him the big money. And they did. They gave him a lot of money. They gave him $52 million for the 4 years.
Yeah. And he's already got, what, 27 of it?
Yep, he has 27 guaranteed. So you're good to go.
Right.
So I hope he's quote unquote set for life, because that's.
And he played 1 year under the franchise tag in Pittsburgh,
He did,
which is about
he did.
12.
Good point. Very good point. So he comes to the Jets, and listen to these numbers. In these 2 years with the Jets, he's averaged 3.3 yards per carry. That ranks 48th out of 49 backs. As a receiver, he's averaged just under 7 yards per reception. That's 125th out of 132. That's not good.
No.
And even if you factor in yards that you should have gained given your blocking, where it's factoring in how good or bad your blocking is, he should have produced 110 rushing yards per game, and he didn't. So he's way below that. He was a bust for the Jets.
Yeah.
And he's been a bust for the league, because I'm going to remind you, they tried to trade him a year ago at the trade deadline. No takers.
Right.
They obviously desperately shopped him this time.
Right.
No takers.
With Skip, he's guaranteed $6 million on next year's salary.
Okay.
I'm not, and give you what.